mean, right? Like I wasn't afraid that I was going to get like chastised or that I was going to be wrong.
Why do you think the questions were not intimidating? What's an example of
because
intimidating
you could
type
see.
question?
Well, I think like there were multiple ways to share an answer, and not just one of those was correct. Right. Whereas like she wasn't looking. You weren't looking for the one answer, right? You were looking for all of the answers that we had, and so that didn't feel scary then if you like cold called on one of us.
But at the beginning, it was a little bit more scary when you asked individuals how many they saw, and so I was the third person you called on. The first two people said 32. If I had in my mind a different number, I would have still said 32. Even if I didn't think there were 32, because I heard 32 twice, and I'm just going to go with majority. So how do you then check for understanding? That would be the question.
Whiteboards.
Yeah, the whiteboard.
Whiteboards.
Right,
Give them a
exactly.
marker and a whiteboard, and they just hold it up.
Right, I know, but that's
Oh.
not what she did. That's not what she did. So given that, how do you know that I really thought it was 32? You don't.
I don't. Can I pose a question? But
I wonder if that's the point, though, like, if they don't get 32 right away, that's okay, because they're still hearing all these other ways of doing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other thing too, Nancy,
Yeah.
you may have followed suit with the other two. You'd have been in deep water if she had asked you, how did you get it?
Well, I know.
And she's done that, so that's.
Yeah, but I didn't know that because this was the first thing she asked.
Now I know why I went to ISS in the 4th grade. I had a flashback, and it was weird, but I saw 32, and when we did a talking turn, I tried to explain it to two of my colleagues, and they said, "What?" And I saw it a different way than they understood it. But I saw that I had the same number, and in 3 seconds, it was my way of able to get to that 32, and it was really sort of different.
He grouped them differently. That's all he did. But
they had to say what. So I just remember the experience of being in class. I said, "Man, I can't speak because I think I'm wrong still." You know what I'm saying? So.
That means like intentionally building like this culture of taking a risk, right? I mean, like,
Right.
Exactly.
Right,
those
that's
are
a
the
good
moves
point.
that have had to happen
That's a
before
great
like
point.
this quick images can take place. Because if you have a culture where someone's going to be right, or like if
And
your
I can
colleagues
give
are
it
respond in a way,
so why I asked you what this experience was like for you as a learner is so that you can take what that felt like and think about that as you go to prepare to do this with a group of students. And for some people, they might try to really activate a culture where like providing a different idea is seen as interesting. So maybe that might help you feel safer. But it's also for you to know that didn't feel really comfortable when there was consensus. For you to disagree is something that you want to be keeping top of mind as you go into your teaching practice. So I think that there was several decisions that I made as the teacher in that moment. We tried to pull out some examples aligned to the core practices of eliciting and responding to students' ideas and positioning students as competent. There were trade-offs in the choices that I made, and I couldn't get to all of you, and I couldn't hear from all of you. And so I think that's like another reason why we make this practice public, and we keep practicing and we keep practicing, so that we can increase the opportunity for us to do this more effectively. Kiana had some really important insights for me in terms of how to create and maintain a learning environment, and that as a place that I should dial up how explicit I was with giving directions and how I was taking advantage of the fact that you are a group of adults in this experience. So just things to be thinking about. Mark, during the simulation, had an interesting, he asked, is one of the strategies to have children or have the teacher restate the ideas that were happening? That is called a move. So if we think back to that triangle that Sharon had that had commitments, and then all the way at the bottom were the narrow moves.
Right.
The moves themselves are the things that can cross content areas. And so when we're thinking about ways of really facilitating student conversation, we use a series of things called talk moves as a strategy to help us out. And the University of Washington, along with other, I think this is stemming from other sources such as books on classroom discussion, came out with a list of 5 talk moves that I was trying to keep in mind as well in order to help facilitate the conversation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass around the talk move, a talk move handout. It's a quick one-pager, and it just explains what the move is, a benefit of the move, and what this might sound like. As you're reading about it, think about an example of when you heard me leveraging that talk move, just from your own experience.